July 22nd, 1896. Joseph Goyette, Esquire, Secretaries, Trustees, Lake Public School. Dear Sir, I beg herewith to make application for the position of teacher of Lake School. Enclosed, please find testimonials, etc. I am, dear sir, yours respectfully, L.D. Chandler.
So Ian asked me if I'd come and have a little talk tonight about the Royal Oak area and my family for years and stuff like that. And so I brought some pictures and some documents here that you people like to look at. I'll put them on the table here. Originally, my great-great-grandfather Cheeseman was born in England. He came around the Norman Morrison around the Cape Horn, which took him 5.5 months to come here. And he worked for the Hudson Bay Company. He was a fur trader. He used to come here and trade with the Indians and go back to England. He made 2 trips, and then he made the 3rd trip, and he went back and married his wife, and he came out here to Victoria in Esquimalt and come to the Crayflower School, which is on Admirals Road. So at that time it was crowded, so he wanted a piece of property where he could farm and raise his family. So anyhow, he was talking to the Indians, and they said, "You should come with us out to Royal Oak." I don't know if they called it Royal. I don't think they called it Royal Oak at the time. But anyhow, I said, "There's a piece of property out there. I think it would be a good place for you." So anyhow, he came and looked at it and thought it was okay. And he had one little girl who was born on the Norman Morrison at the Cape, off the point down there. Come here, like it took 5.5 months to come with a boat to here. So anyhow, he came here and they left Crayflower, and it took them 5 days to come from Crayflower to Royal Oak. Walking and camping along the way, and got here. And they lived in a makeshift tent down off Goyette Road there where I live. I'm the last one that lives there. Anyhow, so then they gradually built a house, and so then he got started around here, and then he got involved with he started to build the Royal Oak Hotel, which is where the Petrocan gas station now. That's where the hotel was, sitting in that corner there. I remember when I went to school. I'm sure some of you here remember the foundation still was there in the school when we went to school. So anyhow, he was getting lumber from town, and Quadra Street, where the health center is down there. I don't know if you remember the old road just to go up the hill, and they used to call it Black's Hill. Anyhow, he came down with a load of lumber with the horses, and the horses ran away, and he fell down and got killed. So that left my great-grandmother a widow. So that time she met Mr. Bailey. And I think they had one more child after that. And then there was no school in Royal Oak. So she donated the property for the first Royal Oak school down here. And the school was there for a few years, and it burned down, and they rebuilt it again. So anyhow, her husband died. I forget what he died of, and she married Durrance. And she was a Durrance for the rest of her life. But I went to Royal Oak School. My dad went to Royal Oak School. My uncles and aunts all went there too. So it was quite an interesting thing. And then the old V&S railroad track used to go parallel with Pipeline Road. I don't know if any of you remember that, the old track. There's still a bed there laying on the one side of Pipeline Road. They got the pipe on one side, and the other side the bed is still laying there. And I remember when we were kids, we used to go on the trestle, and our parents used to say, "Stay off the trestle because you'll fall down into the creek." And you know what kids are like. We used to climb around and all that stuff. And then I think the hotel burned down too. Yeah, it did. It burned down, and they rebuilt it. I don't know what happened after that. They built the same kind of hotel that they have out there at Central Saanich at the Prairie Inn. Exactly the same. And but Royal Oak has changed, and I'm 82 years old, and it's sure changed in my life, and I'm sure some of you here realize how it changed in the years gone by. So we used to have lots of fun with the kids. We used to go swimming at Beaver Lake and all that kind of stuff. And I knew George and Shirley and Al and Sue and Gary and Huey here. And Ina, I know her too. She's a little younger than I am, but we never got together. But I don't know if she was a girlfriend or not. I had lots of girlfriends too, but that's the way life goes, I guess. Right? You know, so I've got the last piece of the property. There was 164 acres in this area. And the boundary was West Saanich Road up to St. Michael's Church for Beaver Lake. Go down Beaver Lake Road, cross from the front of Beaver Lake and back down right across to, well, I guess you call it Elk Drive now, but the road has changed from it was and come right back down to Royal Oak. That was a whole square they owned in there. So like my great-grandfather and that, they cleared all that property, like Normandy Road was farmland. And they had to clear all the trees with old stump pullers they used to use with horses. Pull the stumps out and burn them, and it was hard work, I guess. In those days, I remember after that, and then my great-grandfather was dead, and then my grandfather took over. He was a prospector of gold, and he came out, he was in California, Gold Rush, and then he went to Klondike Gold Rush. Then he'd come home and he wouldn't do nothing. He had his family, and my dad used to run the farm and stuff. And then in 1935 they had a bad fire. I guess maybe some of you know, burnt the whole place down. So it could never get started again because the depression that time was on, and nobody had any money. And I remember my dad saying that they came and looked at the boards and after the fire and see if they could save a piece of 2x4 so they wouldn't have to pay insurance. And insurance was only $500 for the whole bunch of buildings that was there. So there was volunteers to try to help my dad get going, but could never get going again. So then he eventually got on and worked for Saanich Municipality. And he worked with McCullough. Yeah, him and I forget, there was another fellow that lived off of Old West Road. I forget his name. They were two. So he worked there till he retired. And he worked, and then he only lasted a year after that he passed away. But anyhow, then I met my wife and Chris, and we got married. Well, it'd be 60 years this year if she was still living. She passed away 2 years ago. So we built a house. My dad gave me a piece of property, gave my sister a piece of property, and my brother a piece of property. So I built the house on our piece of property, and I still live there. They'll pack me out of there one day, I guess, because I want to stay there. So anyhow, but I've seen lots of changes in Royal Oak and Elk Lake, and we used to go to McMorrin's dancing and stuff like that. And we never thought nothing of walking from Royal Oak to McMorrin's for a dance on Saturday night and walk home in the dark at night. Never thought anything of it. Go down through Beaver Lake, down the old pipeline road back home, you know. But those days you didn't have cars, you had to walk. So then I knew the Joe McIntyre, he had the gravel pit down there. And then I knew George a lot with Butler Brothers, and he was dispatcher concrete down on Bay Street. Good old days, eh, George? Yeah. And,
18 years ago.
That's years ago. And I remember Alan Falk went to school together. I didn't see Alan for I don't know how many years. And then a friend of his, John McKenzie, asked me to go fishing one day. He said, "Going to go with Alan Falk?" And I said, I couldn't remember. So we went out and I looked like, geez, how many years is that, Alan? I don't know, eh? Long time, you know.
Yeah,
So,
quite a while.
yeah, and I knew Harvey.
We caught some fish.
I knew Harvey there too. Pardon me, Al?
I say, we caught some fish though.
Yeah, we did, yeah. I just come back from fishing. I wasn't very good.
Ah,
I went to Banfield. I just got a couple. I got a 28 and a 10, but anyhow.
oh, that's good.
That's nothing to do with Royal Oak. But like where the pool is here, you know, the Centennial Pool, but we owned all that property. And my dad lost all that property for taxes in the 30s because he didn't have any money to pay for it. And the municipality took so many acres a year for taxes to keep it. It whittled down to about I think about 18 acres, which is down on Goyette Road there. And then, like I said, they divided it up between us 3 kids more or less. And there's that. And I remember the gas station down, there was Policeman's, had the BA gas station where the hotel was at Royal Oak. And then across where I met Harvey was Otto Wilner's place. We all used to deal there. And I remember going down to Royal Oak and to the gas station there. It used to be George Massey's. You take it down a gallon, used to be an old whiskey bottle to get a gallon of gas for your old Model T to tear around in the bush. You used to run around with that. I'd like to see you do that today. I wouldn't be able to do it. So, I don't know. I guess there's lots of things I just can't remember to tell you all, but you know, you go down Douglas Street, that was all swamp down there, and Earth's bog over here, and the farms and Fats Poultry Farm. I didn't see any of them here. None of the Fats come, eh?
No.
Huh.
We tried.
There's Bert and Alan, and I forget the other one, there's a girl too.
Jeannie.
Eh?
Jeannie Fat.
Jeannie, is it? Yeah. I remember when we went to school, the teacher used to take us down there to see the little chicks hatch and all that kind of stuff, and then we used to have little tours. We used to walk with the teacher. Like I went to Royal Oak School, my dad went to Royal Oak School. And so anyhow, there was quite a, I remember Sanix wanted to sell the school, and they wanted to move the school from Royal Oak here over to Quick's Bottom. And I went to the council and I said, no, you can't do that. And they said, we'll do what we sort of want to do. They wanted to develop that property. So anyhow, it went on for a couple of years, and anyhow, they left it there, which is good. And I'm glad that it is there today. And I'm sure there's a lot of memories that pupils had that went to that school. Shirley, you went there too, and George and Alan and Gary, and I don't know some of the others. Gary and,
Your children went to Royal Oak School too, didn't they?
yes, they did,
Yes.
yeah. They all went there. Your mind goes sometimes. I know it's funny, sometimes I got a trunk at home, and I've got piles of stuff in it from my great-grandfather and my grandfather. They were the types that kept everything, every tax bill and everything they had. And you wouldn't believe that some of the prices of material and stuff that they used to buy those days, you know. And there, I brought some here you can have a look at. But I've got a trunk there, and I hope my kids look after it when I pass away. So Oliver's were just above this Centennial Pool. They owned all that property. They bought that from my grandfather. And they farmed that. They had a farm in there.
Did you ever have, as children, did you play in the filter beds in Beaver Lake?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, the
Anything
filter beds
exciting?
were there. My dad used to swim in the big tank one time. There was 3 filter beds. They used to get the water out of the lake. I guess it went through the sand, and I guess they pumped it into the big one. And he went to Victoria, but I think that was in 1912 or something.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't enough water, and that's when they went to Souk Lake.
And they were apparently pumping Elk Lake at one time, but they were
Yeah.
getting all the mud through
But
Beaver Lake.
that reservoir was deep, and I'm sure some of you remember that.
Nobody fell in, none of your
I think
friends?
there was a couple killed in it. They used to drive down with their bikes and go down, and then
Yeah.
they went down, and they went over. You know about it,
We
George?
used to go down on my motorbike,
You went down there.
and the motorbike.
Yeah, right. You're lucky you're still here. No, I remember that. Yeah, that was quite a thing. So then they used to, like BC Forest and those places had hog fields, and they started filling in the reservoirs. You talk about contamination. They dumped everything in that hole up there, fill it up. Now it's a parking lot, you know. So, but we used to swim in Beaver Lake. We never had any. When I was a kid, my mom and dad used to say, okay, you can go to the lake for a swim. You gotta be back in an hour. We used to run like hell all the way up Pipeline Road and jump in the lake and figure we had half an hour and run all the way home again, because if you didn't, you wouldn't go next day. Yes?
Our mother, she always called you the Goyette family.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't.
your mother was a Bull,
Yes,
right.
yes,
And,
Yes.
and I know Josiah Bull very well, and I used to go with Frank Bull.
yes, I know, I remember you being
Yeah.
at the house, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we used to go, Frank and I used to go around together, and
Yeah.
we'd go over there, and Mr. Bull would say, well, you better have a drink before you go out. So we'd have a drink, you know, and talk, and I remember his mother and that. And that was great, the days, that one, boy, I tell you. What you could do those days and what you can't do today. You know?
I remember when I got married to Doris, her dad used to tell us a story about your dad and him went and cut down some cedar trees and made a great big diving board, and they mounted it on a stump, and they used to dive into the Elk Lake and then swim across the highway and then back again,
You know?
years ago.
Yeah, I remember, and that story brings up, we were, like you said, making a diving board, and then somebody come along and cut the end off. My dad was a great swimmer. He used to swim from Beaver Lake right through the Hamster Lake
Right,
and turn around and come back.
Yeah.
And then they can remember, that's in the 1900s where, see, some of that stuff's coming back to me now. You used to take a team of horses and go in with a sleigh in Beaver Lake and go right across Elk Lake, and the ice was at least 3 feet thick, they said those days.
Yeah.
And turn around and come back, the horses used to have ice shoes on and walk across.
right.
You know, a lot of people wouldn't believe that, but apparently it was. That's how our climate has changed over the years.
Yeah,
Right,
we
George?
used to skate right across into
Yeah.
Beaver Lake from out.
My dad was a real strong swimmer. He used to go in swimming in the gorge and that. He used to swim from the breakwater out there, breakwater right through into Victoria, under the Johnson Street Bridge up and right up the gorge. He had all swimming regattas and stuff. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of stuff I haven't told you because I just can't remember. I'm not. I guess what I should do is, when I think of these things, write it down and then come it out. I only went to grade 8 in education school, so I'm not that brave, but I got along in life. I'm still going.
Arnold, what's your interest in older cars? Somebody told me that you had a,
Well, I'm
Some
interested
Model
in
Ts.
Model Ts.
right?
Always have. When I guess the first one I got it was from Fred Bolton. He lived up on Old West Road. I don't know if you remember him. It belonged to, I guess it was his sister's, I guess. And it was down in the back, and I used to go up there and work and help him before I started my apprenticeship. But anyhow, it's the old car, and he said, you can have that car if you want it. So we stripped it all off, and I got some pictures home. And so Alan Policeman and I, we used to ride around that thing in the bush out here, the back, right up here, and go through the creek. Well, the heck, that's what I say. We used to go and buy gas in a gallon jug and bring it home, put it in there, and when it was run out of gas, we had no more money and had to go and work. And I remember working over here where McLaughlin's live now, off a pipeline. The name was Hamblets, used to work there. Lived there, I should say. And they had raspberries and logans and daffodils and tulips. And I used to work there for 8 cents an hour hoeing weeds. You know? And then I used to go and pick berries, and Daryl's sister used to come, Barbara. She used to come and was working there too with me, picking berries. We didn't make too bad on making, you know, strawberries and loganberries and stuff. And then you used to have to take the loganberries out there to Halliburton. On the highway, they used to have a grow-up place there, and they used to put them there. And you just take them down to the Lake Hill to the winery and make a wine out of them. Well, I started saving parts, I guess, when I was 14. I got a 23 one-ton truck that I completely restored it. It's pretty nice. I take it out. It's insured and everything. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Have something, you know. Yes, Darryl.
Did you fish in the creek or the lake?
Yes, I did. We used to get trout in there, which would be 18, 20 inches long. And all we used to use was a piece of branch with a piece of string tied in with a hook on it, and we put a worm on it, go down there and get a fish.
Was that in the creek or the?
Yeah, in the creek, yeah.
Which part?
right where I'm living now off of Goyette Road there. Down that stretch, right down to the falls. The falls go down to West Saint Road. I know a lot of people don't know that, but they do. From Goyette Road down like south, you only go another, I don't know, maybe 700-800 feet, and then it starts going down the rock down to West Saint Road where the bridge is down the bottom, if you remember that. And then in the wintertime when I guess it was the sockeye used to come up, that creek was loaded with fish down there, the sockeye. They come up to spawn at the bottom, at the bridge. And what makes me laugh, they put a sign up on Goyette Road, you know, fish, you know, these signs for fish and all. So I went down and seen the guy, and I said, what are you putting that up for? He said, oh, the salmon come up here and spawn. I said, no, they don't. I said, there's never been a salmon up here as long as I've been here. Oh, yeah, he said. I said, well, you know there's falls down there? He said, no, there's no falls. I said, you go and walk down there and see if you can get down there. What a deal. You don't know, you know, so. Like I lived here all my life, I never moved away. Well, I was away for a couple of years, but I still had my home here, but. Anything else? Anybody got questions?
I can remember on West Sanex, there used to be, was a water trough for the horses.
Yes, that was down there by the bridge.
Yeah, and the water must have
You can't even see the bridge now because there's all blackberries on both sides,
Yeah.
you know?
And that water trough is at Sanesh Municipal
That's
Hall.
right, yeah, they moved it
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Says
They used
Bridge
to-
End on it.
Yeah, they put that down at Sands Municipal Hall there. Yeah, that was that there, and then across the road, I don't know if it was a bus stop or not, but Mr. Pete had a place there. And I remember as kids when we used to go to school, and this time of the year, we'd all run fast as we could there to see how many apples he had in the little shed there for us. Apples, free apples for us. That was really something too.
Arnold, you told me that when you first came in, we talked briefly about things, and you said that when you were in as an apprentice carpenter, realizing that you wanted to go on your own,
Yeah,
and tell these people the story of Mr. Campbell.
yeah, well, I don't know if you know, remember the Campbells lived at Elk Lake, and there was, I forget how many, but there was Archie, Bill, Gordon, and the twins, Gertie and Gladys, and Albert, no, not Albert. 5 or 6 of them anyhow. My dad used to go up there way before he got married, because the father, he looked after the lake for the city, for the water and all that stuff. So I was only a little guy, and I always liked Bill Campbell, so anyhow, so when I got of age, I didn't know what I was gonna do, because when I quit school in grade 8 at Royal Oak, that was the end of it. I could go to Mount View, Mom and Dad said I could go to high school, they called it high school those days. Anyhow, so they said, I'll give you 2 months to do what you want to do, you gotta take apprenticeship or do something. So my uncle was in the logging out at Souk, and I was thinking about going, driving a logger truck, learn to like get into the bush. And then I thought, well, I like carpentering too, so I said to my dad, and I said, maybe I'd like to be a carpenter. He said, well, we'll go down and see Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell lived on Darwin Road, right where the municipal hall is there now, which Dad knew him very well, and when I brought him up, I guess, the kids were always at the Goyette's place. He says, oh yeah, sure. He says, so I started working with Looney Brothers in Hamilton when I was 14 years old. I started there in December, and then about a couple of weeks later, and they said, gee, you're not supposed to be working, you're supposed to be 15, and my birthday is January 13th, so he said, we'll just forget about it. So anyhow, I served my time there with Looney Brothers in Hamilton for 4 years. I went to night school, and I learned estimating and transit and all that stuff. So then I worked for the company, then I went to be a foreman, and I was running bigger jobs in Victoria, like Bank of Montreal down Yates and the Customs Building and different projects I worked for. And then I could see the company was starting to go downhill. Walter Looney wanted to get out of it, and Hamilton, he wasn't good, so Walter Looney retired, and so then Bill Campbell and Jack Tevye was an estimator, and they bought it out, and then that time they had the Safeway contract. So then it was Farmer Construction, George Farmer, so they wanted it. So then anyhow, the place went downhill, so I quit. I went on my own. So then Bill Campbell says, oh, you can't do that. He says, you gotta stay here. He says, you're a top guy, you gotta stay here. I says, no, I don't think so. So anyhow, one year it went dead. George Farmer bought it out and got the Safeway contract, and Bill Campbell was out of a job. Next thing I seen him working on a roof, nailing sheeting on a roof, and he wouldn't speak to me because he had the word going around that Arnold bought a new truck and he has a wheelbarrow to haul his money around. Big deal, you know. So anyhow, in those days we used to go, well, I used to go with a few different people, like there was Frank and Brian Orr and Walt Zazula and those. We used to go up to the pub. And so anyhow, one night Chris and I, my wife, we went out to Sydney to the pub out there in Beacon Avenue and having a beer. And the waiter brought a round of beer around and he said, I said, where'd that come from? He said, oh, that party over there. Here it was Bill Campbell and Dot. And I said, oh God, I got to go and face him now. I said to Chris, she said, you better go and thank him. Oh, and he said, oh, how you doing, Arnold? He said, so nice to see you. I hear you're doing great and all that. He was a friend ever after that. I died, but he looked the other bloody way going down the road. You know, so there's different stories, you know.
What when the Warriors were on, how old were you at that time?
When,
The Second World War was going on?
which is what?
The Second World War, when it was on?
Yeah, I was worried about that too. When
Yeah,
the
but how
war
old were you
broke
at the time?
out. I was 39, I was born in 32, so 6, 7, 8 years old.
Do you recall any things that you kids did as?
Yes, I remember going to Royal Oak School when the little school, and we had the other school with the 2 classrooms in it. In those days, the soldiers would train, I guess, at the armies, and they'd have to walk from there all the way out to Heels Range to practice shooting, and then walk, and the bread gun carriers used to go up the road and all that stuff, you know. Then you see them all walking back at night, you know. And they walked all the way, all the time. But you know, there was Alf Campbell, he went to war, he come back. That was one of the Campbells. I remember him telling us a story once. He was on a convoy or something, and they got off the road and drove into a place, and there was all the German guys there. And they said, get out of here, or they never shot him.
Really?
Yeah, they was lucky.
Did you involve yourself with sports at all, and you got older?
I never had the opportunity to do that because we had a dairy farm there at my dad's place. And it was work 7 days a week, milking cows in the morning by hand, at night, and then you go to school. You get up in the morning, say 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, go out and milk cows and come in and wash up and have breakfast and change your clothes and go to school. As soon as you got to school, you had to come home. I had to do more of it because I was the oldest. You had to get hay in for the cows and bring the cows in and all that. And the cows used to be up here at the pool. When I was a little guy, apparently I used to go and open the gates and the cows would all come home. Yeah, that was great things.
Some of our other speakers have talked about the Royal Oak School and getting the strap.
Yeah,
And then I think it was Louis Burton said that he was waiting with another gentleman in the
yeah, that sure
principal's
as hell
office.
hurt too when they went high up on the arm. No, I got it once for something, I forget. But anyhow, other teachers. Miss O'Connell was the first teacher in grade 1 and 2, I guess, that I remember. And then there was Sinclair, was a teacher, and Mrs. Welsh. She was in 6, 7, 8, I think. She was, we called her a battle axe. You did anything wrong, boy, you got it. You remember, George?
Yeah.
I'm sure of some of the others too. Yeah.
Who were some of the farmers around your area there, Arnold? What other
There was the
families?
Quicks, Buster Quick on Wilkerson Road, which Saanich owns that property, and the swamp is a bird sanctuary or something now, and that used to grow lovely crops in there and all that. And that was that farm, and then the Olivers had a farm here, and then the Ravers had a big farm down on Burnside. And there was another farm there where the Panama Flats was. There was a dairy farm there. And then Glanford Avenue, there was, Palfers had a farm there. But they used to take the milk down, see when the V&S run through there years ago, remember Dad said he used to take the milk cans up there to the top, close to the pipeline road, and the train would stop and pick up the milk and take it to town, come back and dump the cans off at night. And then they used to cut firewood. I think I got a bill there for cutting firewood. They used to cut firewood and then the engine would stop there and load up the firewood so they could fire the engine, keep it going out to Sydney and back. It's too bad that railroad wasn't there today because it went right along behind Elk Lake, right out, right out to Sydney. But like there was three railroads, wasn't there? There was V&S and the BC Electric and the Alpine Trail down here. But it's all gone now. All development now.
Barn dances or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't think I went to many barn dances here. I used to go to McMorrin's most of the time in Luxton Hall.
What about your parents though, with their friends?
I don't think they really, my parents never did too much of that. And I don't think my grandfather did either. It was home, they didn't have, I remember the old radio, we had one of those old round radios, you have to get up and listen to the darn thing, that's how bad it was. No, they entertained a bit, I guess my uncles and aunts used to come out and stuff like that, to the place, but I think I was the one that got out and wanted to go to dances at night, but you had to be back so you could milk cows in the morning.
You used to go to the Douglas roller garden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The roller, yeah, we used to go there. Well, Frank and Walt and Brian, we all wound up there. We used to have a hard time getting girls because the Navy guys were over there. Son of a gun. Anyhow, so then,
Isn't that where you met your wife?
no, I met my wife in Esquimalt on Fraser Street in the hall one night. I went with a friend of mine. Let's see, who was it? It wasn't Frank or anything. It was another friend, John Booth. And we went out there. I think we went roller skating. I said, oh, there's a dance out at Fraser Street Hall. And he says, let's go out there and see what there's going on. So we went out there. We went in there. These couple of girls were sitting over in the corner there. And it was ladies' choice. And my wife, Chris, she came over and asked me for a dance. And Kay, she went and asked John for a dance. So you get little guys, so I had a couple dances, so can I take you home? Oh, I'd love you to take me home. She only lived about 3-4 blocks on Esquimalt Road. So we sat and talked for a bit. Oh, I think I said, well, let's, you like to have something to eat? Oh, no. I said, well, let's go to the Bright Spot. She didn't even know where it was. It was on Quadra Street there at Union. So I went there, so I took her home, and I asked her for a date next night. We went together for 3 years and got married, had 3 children. The oldest is going to be 59 on Saturday. Then I got a daughter and I got a son. The oldest one is a heavy-duty mechanic. He was working for Finneby, now he's up in the north, working up there in a diamond mine mechanic. And my daughter, she's over in Delta. She's a computer whiz. I don't know if she does it, but she's just. My youngest son, he works for Peter Hewitt, which is a big contractor in the States, and he's project manager now for them, and he's on a big job up in Manitoba on a power project, $500 million job. So they do big jobs. So they're all doing good, so I don't have to worry about them. They said, spend your money, Dad, we don't need it. We got lots of our own. So. But when the younger days, you didn't have money, I used to save money too. When I worked for Looney's, you used to get it all in cash, in a little envelope, and there wasn't very much in there either. Yeah, lots of things.
Who were the people you looked up to when you were?
Oh, well, I think Campbell's were one. And the Quicks were another one. And there was Dick DeVerne used to live down on by Markham Road. He was a friend of my dad's. We never, I don't know, I didn't seem to associate with so many people those days. I don't know why.
They were too busy.
Yeah, too much work, you know, you had to work. No wonder you got bad shoulders today and that. You had to do everything bulwark. Today it's not. It's all machines and computers and hydraulic. It's different altogether. It's nice to see a lot of you pupils that went to school at Royal Oak. They're nice.
Amazing, isn't
I ask you how well you knew Alan Bleefman? He was
Well-
my uncle, but he died at 21, so I
Yeah, I know he did.
was
He had
only 5
cancer,
years older
wasn't
than
it?
that, yeah.
He had cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
lung cancer.
Yeah, well, my dad, we used to buy gas there, eh? And I got to know him, and we started chumming around together, and that's how I did. And we had a Model T, and he used to ride around the bush. And I remember one time, we were in the bush, he was used to with a car with a clutch, and the Model T, where the clutch is on a Model T is your low band. It was going a little too fast, so he cracked into a stump, bent the front axle in. And I said, oh, we'll go home, we'll get a 4x4, and we'll bend it back out, and away we go again. Yeah, I knew Alan, he was good. Yeah, it was too bad he passed away at the time. But, no, it was too much work those days. That's why he didn't have fun. You know? Yeah,
Do you know anything about the history of Scarborough Road,
Scarborough Road, no, not really.
across from St. Michael's there?
Well, I knew, there was a fellow down there used to raise eggs, remember, Christensen.
Yeah,
I done a bunch of, I put a building up for him there, Christensen. I don't know too much about that. Miss
there-
Brady used to live on the corner of Scarborough Road and West Saints Road.
who was that?
Miss Brady?
In the little White House.
Yeah, the little one's still there. When I went to school, I used to go and pile her wood up for, I forget, 20 cents for a cord or something.
Suspicious. Every one of your relatives has a name, have a road named after them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we got, and our dairy farm name was Rose Hill Dairy, which is Goyette Road goes up and then Rose Hill goes up the other way.
Right.
I guess they named Pipeline Road after the pipe that was put in there, the city put in.
How many cows?
Oh, we had about 30, I guess. Well, as soon as you could, say, as soon as you could walk, you learned how to milk a cow. I remember sitting on the stool milking the cow, and it, you know, you're young, you didn't, and my mom and dad used to have to go and strip them off, make sure all the milk was out, because they didn't, they'd dry up. Those things were different those days, and then you take the milk to the dairy, put it over the cooler, put it in the cans, and then take it down to Cheeseman Road, the bottom of West Saints Road there. Sydney Freight used to pick it up, take it down, bring the cans back, and you had to go down, pick the cans up, and bring them back. Wash them out. Oh, Jesus.
So what did you transport them in?
You know,
What did you transport the milk in? Did you?
Okay.
well, there were eight 10-gallon cans.
But what did you put them on, a truck or a?
Well, my dad had a
horse-drawn?
Model A truck and used to haul them down the hill. And I think sometimes in the snow, you know, how he got them down there, but then that all stopped. But he couldn't make it anymore. He had to give it up. But, yeah, he used to, like with the poolers, used to plow all that with horses, team of horses, plow it, disc it, put a crop in. I remember he saying one time that they grew a crop in Normandy Road, that was all farmland there. They'd harvest that off and have to pay Sanks for all the taxes. The money they got, they used to have to give all that to Sanks for taxes. Never got a thing out of it.
Barney Oakfield, when he built the Spirit of Tomorrow, that car.
Yeah, the torque,
It
tear top.
used to go by,
Yeah,
when it used to be sitting on a box.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was green, wasn't it, when he eventually
Yeah.
came?
I
Yeah,
just
he's
seen
pretty
it,
smart,
it
that guy.
Came up roughly the other day.
Did he?
Yeah.
He was a pretty smart man, that guy.
Oh,
He worked with Claude Butler and the
Yeah.
Butlers.
Yeah.
They developed that big logging truck. I don't know where that truck ever went to, you know?
Last I heard it was out of Fort Renfrew and sitting on the side of the road.
Was it? With the trailer too?
Yeah, that was,
Carried that thing a whole load.
Did you hunt on your property?
Yep. I used to get pheasants and quail. My dad would say to my mom, "Do you want a pheasant for tomorrow night?" She'd say, "Yeah." He'd go down there and get a cock pheasant or nothing. Now you don't even see one. There's a few quail around, but there's no cock pheasants anymore.
We haven't seen pheasant.
None of them are around. They used to hunt deer too. I mean, they used to be after the apples. And like my mother used to can the venison all the time. My dad would get a couple deer a year and they'd can it all. Everything was canned. You had no freezers. She had a room about, I'd say 12 by 12 with shelves on 3 sides, and they'd be loaded in the wintertime for garden stuff and meat and everything else. Chicken and everything. A lot of that stuff, like chickens and that, they used to say we wanted chicken for Sunday night, to kill one on Saturday and have it for Sunday night. Used to raise geese too. Hey,
Who kills the chickens?
my dad used to do it, and I used to do it too. Never thought anything of it. That's the way life was, I guess.
I'd like to thank Arnold, I'm sure everybody would like all, great job.
June 30, 1887, British Columbia tax assessment received from Joseph Goyette, $12 in payment for taxes due. L. Booth, tax collector.
Victoria, BC, July 13th, 1895. During the past term, Miss May Creech was a pupil of mine in the normal room, Victoria High School. She understands the methods of teaching now used in the best schools and possesses qualities which will, I think, make her a very efficient teacher. I therefore recommend her to the attention of any board of trustees as a valuable addition to the profession. E. H. Russell, B.A., First Assistant, Victoria High School.
June 16, 1917, appeal of tax assessment.
July 22nd, 1896. Joseph Goyette, Esquire. Dear Sir, having seen in the Evening Times that you require a teacher for the Lake School, I beg to offer myself as a candidate for the vacant position. The enclosed copies of testimonials speak for me better than I can speak for myself, but I can assure you that should you see fit to appoint me to your school, I should spare no pains to perform the duties of the position conscientiously, and that I should, with a due sense of my responsibility, devote my time and energies to the advancement of the children committed to my charge. I am, dear sir, respectfully your, Gertrude Lote.
June 6, 1918, appeal of tax assessment.
July 22nd, 1896. Joseph Goyette, Esquire, Secretaries, Trustees, Lake Public School. Dear Sir, referring again to my letter of yesterday making application of the position of teacher, I beg now to state that since the forwarding of same, I am informed by the Superintendent of Education that one provision of the School Act would operate to prevent my holding the position. This position has reference to the necessity that exists for my teaching under a temporary certificate until the public examination of teachers in 1897. I desire, therefore, to have the trustees of Lake School fully informed in this important matter. Perhaps it would, under such circumstance, be not only proper, but advisable that I should withdraw my application. I am, dear sir, yours respectfully, L.D. Chandler.
February 18, 1922, appeal of tax assessment.